Building an online business while you're still working as a nurse is hard enough, but I was making it so much harder than it needed to be. And maybe you'll recognize yourself a little bit in what I was doing. When you're trying to build a business around a job you already have, you start looking for little pockets of time wherever you can find them. An hour before work, your lunch break, maybe a couple of hours in the evening. And I'd always heard that in the beginning, that's just what you do. You had to put the work up front if you wanted to get your business off the ground. And I still believe that. I knew building something of my own was going to take work, but there's a difference between putting in the work and letting it take over your life. And I didn't realize how far I'd crossed that line until I was already there. At the time, I was trying to post on Instagram 3 times a day. And 3 videos doesn't sound that crazy until you're the one who has to come up with the video idea, find somewhere to film it, record it, edit it, and then turn around and do it again. And I wasn't just putting it on Instagram. I had to take that content and repurpose it for TikTok, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, because in my mind, well, I've already made it. I might as well put it everywhere. It felt like I was being efficient, covering all my bases, but it didn't feel very efficient when I was living it. There were mornings I was making videos before I left for work, my lunch breaks when I'd be trying to squeeze something else in. Then I'd get home and still have editing and posting to do. And I remember my husband making comments about how much time I was always spending on my phone or my computer. Not because he didn't support what I was trying to do, but I was starting to see it too. We could be sitting in the same room together, and part of me was still at work, just a different kind of work. And I think that's when I started questioning what I was doing because I wasn't building my online business so I could leave one demanding schedule someday and replace it with another one. I wanted a business that would fit around my life. But if I kept heading the direction I was currently going, I could already see what that life was going to look like, and I didn't want it. So I started asking myself a different question. What if I stopped trying to grow everywhere and gave myself permission to really go in on one platform? And that's when things started really getting interesting. And for me, that one platform became YouTube. What's funny is YouTube wasn't new to me. I'd wanted to give YouTube a chance for a long time. But everyone kept telling me I needed to be posting on Instagram 3 times a day, repurpose your content everywhere, post more, get in front of more people, do Facebook Lives, keep feeding all these different platforms. And I did that for a long time. But eventually I thought, what would happen if I just stopped? What if instead of trying to create something every single day that only lasted for a few hours, I put that time into creating one really good piece of content each week? Something I could actually sit down and take my time with, something that could still be found next week or next month instead of feeling like I had to wake up tomorrow and start all over again. Once I made that decision, I could almost feel myself exhale. I wasn't having to wake up every morning thinking, okay, what am I going to post today? I wasn't trying to grab my phone during every little break I had. I didn't feel like I needed to be constantly creating just so it didn't disappear. I knew what my plan was each week now. Research my content, film it, edit it, hit publish, and then actually have room in my week for the rest of my business. And that last part has probably been one of the biggest surprises for me because I used to spend so much time creating content, but I didn't have time left for the rest of my business. Now I have room to work on my email list, room to actually create the things I eventually want to offer, and time to think about how and where I really want to take my business. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Christy. I've been a nurse for 34 years, and now I'm sharing what I'm learning as I build an online business alongside my nursing career and helping other nurses over 50 create one that fits the life they actually want. And if you're trying to do this too, I'd love to invite you to my Nurse Exit Plan Insider list. Because when you're already working as a nurse, you don't need more noise telling you a dozen things you should be doing. You need to know what's actually worth your time. So every week I share the strategies I'm using, what's working, what I'm changing, and the lessons I'm learning along the way. So hopefully you can skip some of the trial and error that cost me a lot of time, money, and energy over the years. If you're ready to simplify some of this and start making more confident decisions about what deserves your time and what doesn't, I'd love to have you there. I'll put the link in the description below. And that's really what I'm trying to do differently now. I'm still working as a nurse. I still have a home, a husband, kids and grandkids I want to spend time with. Building my business is very important to me, but I don't want it to consume every other part of my life. And I know you might be thinking, okay, Christy, so you're saying everybody needs to start a YouTube channel? No, that's not what I'm saying. YouTube just happens to fit me. I love sitting down and actually having a conversation with you instead of trying to squeeze everything I want to say into a 30-second reel that's gone the next day. I like teaching, telling stories, and I love knowing that when I hit publish, that video is going to live on my channel for many years. But here's the part I think matters whether you choose YouTube or something completely different. You don't need to be everywhere. And if you're working all day as a nurse and then trying to build something of your own in the hours you have left, you may not have the time or the energy to be everywhere anyway. I wish I'd given myself permission to accept that sooner. Because since I've narrowed down my focus, I'm creating less content than I was before. I have more time. My evenings feel different. And I'm more consistent now than I was when I was trying to do 4 times as much. That surprised me because for years I connected doing more with making more progress. And I'm starting to realize sometimes doing less gives you enough room to finally do the things that actually matter. And I actually enjoy creating again. I look forward to sitting down and working on my videos, and I'm not constantly feeling like I'm behind somewhere else. Now, does that mean YouTube is easy? Absolutely not. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out what works. There are videos I spend hours on that barely get watched. There are weeks when I question whether I'm growing fast enough. That's all part of the process. But the difference now is I finally feel like I can keep doing this for the long haul. And that's really important to me because I've spent enough years trying things that could I could keep up with for a few weeks or maybe a few months, but I couldn't imagine doing for the next 5 or 10 years. I don't want to build like that anymore. I don't want my business to only work if I'm willing to give it every spare minute I have. Because a lot happens when life gets busy, when I want to travel with my husband or spend a Saturday with my grandkids. I don't want to feel guilty because I wasn't creating content that day. I want this business to become part of the life I'm creating, not take over the life I'm trying so hard to create it for. And that's probably the biggest lesson YouTube has taught me so far. It wasn't really about choosing YouTube. It was about finally choosing where my energy was going. Instead of giving a little bit of myself to 4 different platforms, I'm giving my best energy to one. And then I'm giving the rest of it back to my business and to my life. So if you're working as a nurse right now and trying to build something on the side, I want you to look at your own week. Not because I think you need to drop everything and start a YouTube channel. And not because I think there's some magic number of hours you should be working on your business. Just look at where your time is actually going. Because sometimes we're so busy trying to keep up with everything we've been told we're supposed to be doing, we don't stop long enough to ask whether all of it is actually moving us forward. You may not need more hours in your day. You may just need to decide which things deserve the hours you already have. And if that means letting something go, that doesn't mean you're giving up. It doesn't mean you're not working hard enough. And if you're trying to build your own way out of this constant cycle of doing more, learning more, trying more, but you're still not sure what deserves your attention, that's exactly why I'd love to have you on my Nurse Exit Plan Insider list. I'm sharing the decisions I'm making as I build this alongside my nursing career. But more importantly, I'm sharing what I'm learning about creating a business that's actually capable of giving you more choices later without asking you to give up your entire life now. Because I don't want you spending the next few years getting really good at doing everything. I want you getting really clear about the few things that can actually move you forward. If that's what you're working toward too, I'll put the link right below this video. And before you go, if your business has started feeling heavier than you thought it would, don't automatically assume that means you're doing something wrong. Sometimes I think we just keep adding more and more because we believe that's what it's going to take to finally make this work. Another platform, another piece of content, another thing on our already full schedule. Maybe the answer is about getting really clear about where your time and energy are going and giving yourself permission to focus there. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm still working hard, I'm still learning, and I'm definitely still figuring some of this out as I go. But I'm not trying to do it all or be everywhere anymore. And I can't tell you what a difference that's made, not just in my business, but in my life too. I have more room to breathe, more time for the people I love, and I'm actually enjoying building my business again. And isn't that the part of why we're doing this in the first place? We want to create more choices for our future without missing our life while we're trying to get there. And if this video hit home for you, or maybe made you look at the way you're building your own business a little differently, be sure to watch this next video. I think it'll help you take what we talked about today and keep moving forward from here. I'll see you over there.